Hey there everyone, Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter from CARTERMATT.com.
This video is a discussion of Blue Bloods Season 10, Episode 3. We're going to give you some early episodes 4 spoilers as well, but I think the big breaking conversation that so many people are going to be having at this hour is Sami Gayle leaving? Is Nicky departing the dinner table? What are they doing to us with all of like the Reagan kids growing up and then being like, bye?
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a question we're kind of collectively going to be looking at over the next couple episodes or so. So it seems based on the episode tonight. But we'll make some predictions. We'll talk about everything else that happened in this episode as well. But before we do anything else, if you like this video, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other updates we've got coming your way. Let's just throw this question out here first. Were you surprised that this even just sort of came up? Because there was no hinting. I was just like gobsmacked.
Yeah, it came out of really nowhere. I don't know what. Yeah, this is how I feel. I'm like, what? I don't understand. Like, what is happening here?
Well, the weirdest thing to me was it was also just right in the middle of the episode, so they just sort of brought it up, and we're like, oh, by the way, Nicky may be leaving, and then they just don't proceed to bring it up again for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, it was a bit shocking. I was quite surprised by it.
Yeah, and you know,
I am still quite surprised by it.
And Sami Gayle is no small potatoes when it comes to being a part of Blue Bloods. I mean, She has been a part of this show forever. And, you know, I know we don't usually get more than maybe like 2 or 3 dedicated Nicky storylines throughout the season. I mean, we are still talking about someone who was at every family dinner. It's weird when someone is missing because it's sort of like, that symbolizes community.
Absolutely. And to just kind of drop this big bomb on everybody. I know it's at the family dinner and everybody's there, so yeah, that makes sense. And it's nice that she's giving a bit of a warning. She hasn't even gone out there for this interview yet, but the fact that she has it and she's feeling pretty confident about it, which is, you know, great, but not great for us. Don't leave. You don't need to leave. There are plenty of jobs in your area.
Okay, well, I think there are so many ways we can frame this because, you know, if we do lose Nicky and this somehow comes out that Sami Gayle has found a bigger role somewhere else where, you know, she's able to get more than 2 or 3 big storylines a season, I will totally understand that because, I mean, eventually it's probably got to be you enjoy the job, you enjoy the people you work with, you want to be tested more as a performer. I would get that. Otherwise, if there's no real reason other than the Blue Bloods writers don't like us anymore, I won't be thrilled with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they're going with this. Is she actually leaving? And they're setting this up. And I understand this is a show that has a lot of episodes. She doesn't get a ton of episodes that are dedicated to her. She's not necessarily have a big part in each episode. And she may be wanting to spread her wings. It feels like such a shock because there felt like there wasn't much indication that this was really coming.
One thing that is really weird to me, CBS is obsessed with having characters go to Silicon Valley or like dealing with some sort of tech billionaire. Like they are so fascinated. It's almost like everyone at CBS really wanted to be like one of these sort of gurus. They wanted to join the 3 Comma Club from Silicon Valley, and because they keep bringing it up, like it was with McGee on NCIS this past season. It was a part of NCIS LA. I mean, I know God Friended Me is not based in Silicon Valley, but it's kind of sort of the same thing.
I just wondered if maybe this storyline in particular is coming up not because she's leaving the show, but one of the things that Blue Bloods does really, really well is they bring in sort of these 2 different worlds and all these different things that are happening with traditional family. So having a Sunday dinner and we all get together and we all give thanks and we all eat together and this is a thing and it's tradition, and how the world is changing, which is that There are people, your children go off and they go here, they go there. They'll Skype with you, they'll call with you, they'll come home for the holidays. This is very much a part of the way the world works. So this might just be one of her stories that's happening. We're not actually losing her.
Yeah.
But to bring in that idea of, oh, could she be going across the country? And how does the family deal with that? When we saw, Frank give her the fork. Be like, hey, and you remember the traditional part of the family. If you need to talk to us, I guess talk to this fork. I get the idea of it.
It was a weird gift. Let's not sugarcoat this. Giving someone a fork and like trying to ascribe some sort of like weird Robert Frost kind of meaning out of it. It's like, okay, Frank, I get it. You're giving up your silverware though. I could just see Nikki's future roommate at her like $4,000 a month rented place in like San Francisco being like, why do you have this fork?
Or why are you talking to this fork? I came home and you're in the living room having a conversation with a fork.
Is that going to be the next CBS All Access spinoff? The Nikki Talks to a Fork show?
It could be. Nikki and her fork?
I think you're onto something here. I think this is probably a couple of different things. It's either they're setting the stage for a departure, they don't want to shock you with it when it happens, or they're just setting up some sort of story where maybe Nikki goes on this interview and then it causes her to rethink her life in New York and then she makes some big decisions there. This will be an agent of change. I am calling it right now. But it may not be bad change. We can have good change, right?
Absolutely. And maybe it will bring her to the conclusion that she needs to stay and that she can find something there.
And here's, of course, the funny thing that we're talking about change on a show that is featured for over 200 episodes, a family dinner scene in every single one, and I'm pretty sure they're eating something close to the same every single time, other than that one time where they brought in that giant sandwich, which I'm still obsessed with that sandwich.
But there has been some change happening this season, but it's mostly for Danny.
Yeah, and we've certainly seen that. And let's explore everything else now that we have spent a good 7 minutes talking about this hypothetical question. What I liked about this episode was it felt a lot like we were watching characters try to wrangle new circumstances in their lives and be sort of like, you know what? I've got this. I'm going to be in control. I'm going to do what I think is right, and hopefully it works out for me. Eddie got her own storyline, and that's not something we have seen very often.
No, we haven't. However, we have seen the storyline with the sergeant that's giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. And it felt like a storyline that was going to have to come up just because of who the Reagans are, and that now she is part of this family, even though she's like, oh, look, my name, it still says Jamko on the job. I am still Jamko. I am not Reagan on the job, so don't do this. And I get it, where she's trying to come from, but you are still married to who you're married to.
You are, and
people are going to still try to test you.
And this is going to be, I think, a pretty obvious ongoing struggle.
Yeah.
We're going to see this for a while. We're going to see her sort of tackle the various highs and lows when it goes along with it. I mean, yeah, we could get a little bit more depth out of this sergeant character other than just she is the angry sergeant who doesn't want to like her because of her name or anything else.
And it sort of sucks, too, because it's falling on her partner as well.
Yeah.
For no good reason, who has done nothing and married no one from the Reagans.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Witten needs, like, something to go Witten's way. She doesn't have a particularly easy time. I gotta say, I'm a big fan, though, of Eli the Witness. I thought, and so far as, like, Blue Bloods, like, rando characters you meet in the midst of a crime investigation, I'm gonna actually remember him, and I don't think I say that for, like, 95% of, like, the one episode people we see, but it was fun to see her have her own storyline. It was fun to see Jamie really in the sort of position of actually being there for this sort of young cop, because I think in my head, I still think of Jamie as, like, the young cop who's, like, trying to figure out how to skate on the ice and he keeps falling on his face.
Yeah, and we've seen a big change with him in that, in the way that he handles himself, the way he handled this rookie situation where, you know, he was going to quit, and he did a really great job. basically saying, we're in this together. Okay, you're 3 days on the job. We will get through it together. You aren't by yourself. And that's a pretty strong thing to say to somebody who's brand new.
Yeah, if I was a cop in New York City, which, by the way, I have no clear plans to do in the immediate future, but if I was, I would want Jamie to be my sergeant. He seems like he's a pretty good sergeant. He motivates. He's not like this other sergeant who's just being mean to Eddie for no good reason.
Yeah, well, what do you think she's trying to get out of being mean to Eddie? Is it just that she's swinging her you-know-what around to be like, I'm in charge and I don't care if you're a Reagan, so we're going to push you down just because I can? Or is there something more?
I think there's a part of it is that. I think a part of it is, you're Reagan, I want to show that I am able to control you. But then also, I think beyond all of that, I think she's thinking, probably on some level, Eddie is a good cop. She's probably heard some stories about Eddie being a good cop. And I think if you are this new sergeant, you probably want to rise up the ranks a little bit yourself. And you probably want to be able to take credit for various things that Eddie does. So I think she probably wants her to follow procedure every step of the way, so that when she gets a big collar, then she can be like, hey, everybody, guess what I did? And then she can get, become captain or whatever else she ends up getting out of it.
Yeah.
Those are just some theories to kind of think about right now. But I think Jamie and Eddie both, they had interesting stories this week. I think seeing Jamie and Aaron end up working together, which, by the way, let's kind of give a cold glare now to the CBS promo department on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. What are you doing to us, promo department? You guys made me think that this was going to be like Jamie and Aaron fighting for the whole episode. How long did they fight? Like 3 seconds?
Yeah, like 3 seconds. And we had seen that sneak peek out there of that fight, and with her ending being like, oh, we're going to work together. And as much as it was interesting to see the fight, I really liked seeing them come together and try to work together, and bringing in Anthony, bringing in his brother, and trying to get it all to work.
I really like this so much, and I like it for so many different reasons, but I liked Jamie's role as a mentor. I liked seeing Jamie and Aaron work together in this way where it wasn't contentious for longer than a few seconds. But really, I love it when the gang comes together and you get to see people actually work together in ways that you don't usually expect. I mean, you had Jamie, you had Aaron, you had Anthony, and we are members of the Anthony fan club here. More Anthony, the better.
Yeah, I love him. He's great.
And then we got to see Anthony's brother at the same time mixed in here, and I didn't know if we were ever going to see Anthony's brother again.
Yeah, no, I didn't know either. I'm glad that we did, and it was interesting to see, and it was a cool storyline too about someone who was in crime and didn't want to dip his toe back in there because he honestly didn't know how he was going to feel about it, if he was going to like it and want to go back. And it was a very interesting, real struggle.
I think if we were to just rank former criminals on Blue Bloods, give me Anthony's brother over Vincent Rella any day of the week. No offense to Vincent Rella, because I don't want his former mob coming after me, but it's just sort of like, we have stakes with this guy because he's Anthony's brother, and we don't want anything to happen to him because I don't want to see Anthony sad. And, ultimately, if that happens, Eli can go and give him a hug and make him feel better.
That's right.
But, it's one of these, just, I like it when everybody gets a chance to do some stuff collectively. All right, so where do we go next? Should we talk about Danny or should we go into Frank?
We'll talk about Danny.
All right, so Danny's story, it was emotional, but it was kind of a strange storyline in a lot of ways, just to kind of keep track of, like, who said what, who felt what at every given moment, the relationship between these parents and their son, and then the status of this daughter who was dead. Yeah,
and these parents who were just making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. It was a very strange storyline.
It was, and I mean, really, I think the good thing to take away from it is that Danny trusted his gut.
Yeah.
He did what he felt like he needed to do, even when Baez doubted him. And, you would think at this point that Danny and Baez both would kind of know to trust each other's instinct, but...
Yeah, it's true. They've been working together a long time.
Yeah, but I guess over time you get a little bit jaded. But, I mean, I'm not going to say This is my favorite Danny storyline ever. I'm not really going to say that we've had really a great Danny storyline since maybe the premiere. And even
I was
that,
gonna say, we had him, like, kicking a car on fire
Yeah.
and pulling someone out of the burning car. Like, yeah, it's hard to beat that. They've raised the bar.
did the combination of Lou Diamond Phillips, like, on one side of the bar, lifting that part of the bar up, and then the car on fire was over there lifting the other part of the bar up. Did
Yeah.
they set the bar too high?
They set the bar very high.
All future Danny storylines, they got to compare to that stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
It's not easy.
No.
And with Frank this week, what we ended up learning is mostly just that if you talk things out, everything can be better. That's not really what we learned, but...
No, we learned... From when I saw the preview, I thought that this kid, like, had something really dark on his mom, and it just turned out he got cut out of the will, and he's pissed off because his sisters have gone on to be, like, Instagram models or some nonsense. It was
It was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. The whole idea of the father being like, well, my son can amount to something, so I'm not going to help him at all. But man, my two daughters, they're idiots, so I'll just give them the fortune. Was just kind of like, wow, what do you think of your children? What is happening here?
I have so many other questions because it's like, yeah, your son has gone on to do good things, but your son is also probably making, like, barely any money at all doing this.
Yeah, and if he went to school for it, he's probably drowning in mountains of debt when he didn't need to, and these two are taking selfies while they're flossing at the beach. Like, it's ridiculous. Nobody wants to see that.
It was such a weird... I mean, we're just going to get ourselves just, like, drunk with insanity talking about this story. But, you know, Frank's gonna do what Frank's gonna do, everyone. He's gonna find a compromise. He's gonna get through to someone.
Yeah, and he did.
Yeah, and then in the end, the son comes out and says some wise words. I mean, okay, here's a quick take, though.
But it feels like the girls learned nothing.
Yeah.
They are still just rich Instagram models that didn't really get it. Even with his talk being like, hey... just so you know, you guys only have each other. You're all orphans. You are all each other has. They're still like, what are you trying to say? I don't have any friends? I'm just like, oh my God, thank God your parents gave you money.
Did Frank have a thing for this, his late friend here? I mean, he extolled her virtues quite a bit throughout a lot of this.
Well, he may just be like, she's a good-looking, nice woman and charming, and clearly she was charming enough to... do a lot of really good work, and having charisma and having that charm is something that usually people that are able to put together big organizations like this to help people, you need to have a little bit of charm.
I think I'm just not used to Frank saying, like, a lot of really nice things about people, because usually I think it's just sort of like, that person is a good cop. And then he just, like, takes a bite of mashed potatoes, and then that's basically kind of it.
Well, it's possible that maybe she had a little charm on him, as the son was, oh, everybody has a little bit of charm, but...
yeah.
It sounds like she just had charm, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Anything is possible in the world of Blue Bloods. And now, let us move forward and preview episode 4, which is entitled Another Look. As in, someone is taking another look. Here's the synopsis. Frank takes one of Jamie's cases to heart when it involves the suspicious death of his friend, FBI agent Wilson Ortega's terminally ill wife. Also, after demanding more meaningful cases, Aaron receives an unsolved robbery case that proves to be impossible to crack without help from Anthony. And Danny and Baez uncover the shocking truth behind a puzzling assault claim.
Okay.
All right, you want to get a couple quick takeaways here?
Yeah, give them to me.
Number 1, Agent Wilson Ortega has to be like the most prototypical like FBI agent name of all time. That would be like me basically saying, I am Max Steelsword, otherwise known as the Destroyer, or like something like that.
Yeah, okay.
By the way, Max Steelsword is also now apparently my superhero alter ego name. But
it is now.
But yeah, so that, all right, beyond all this, shouldn't Aaron know that she needs help from Anthony now at all times?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think though the big main event to take away from this Is Frank gonna go out on the case?
That would be interesting. I would like to see that.
I would like to see that too.
I don't need to see Frank running down the street, hiding behind buildings with a gun or anything like that, but get him out there some more.
Get him a Sherlock hat. Give him like a magnifying glass.
No.
Give him a chance to go and investigate the crime. I mean, yes, I am assuming that when Frank was a beat cop, he was probably not wearing a magnifying glass or a hat, but
no.
But
it would still be cool to have him back out there again, just once in a while.
Yeah, just give us some different variety. Don't get me wrong. I like Frank in The Office.
Yeah.
I like The Advisors. Big Baker fan, but still, variety is the spice of life. And I think Frank needs variety because he's been eating mostly the same food for like 197 episodes.
Yes.
We're bringing it all back. But anyway.
Good job, Steel Sword.
I'd already forgotten the name. All right. What do you guys want to see on Blue Bloods moving into Season 10, Episode 4? What did you think about Episode 3? Do you think Sami Gayle is leaving? And what sort of sadness does that bring to your face? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. And also, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the CARTERMATT store. And we'll see you here next time.